What is going on, everybody? Been a diehard Pistons fan since '03 and starting to get cautiously optimistic about this Pistons team. The Detroit Pistons have one of the biggest games of the year tonight as they take on the Milwaukee Bucks in what is the final regular season NBA Cup game before the NBA Cup finale, I guess would be the right terminology. In this video, we'll go through and describe all of that, the implications of this game, what that means for the NBA Cup. We'll talk about three things that we'll be looking to observe in this game and then discuss what we think the ticket to win will be. So to give you all a bit of a heads up and overview on the NBA Cup, if you don't know, the Pistons are currently 3-0 in the NBA Cup. They will now play the Milwaukee Bucks, which is the last regular scheduled NBA Cup game. The winner of tonight's game between the Bucks and the Pistons will win the group division outright, which will clinch them a spot in the final 8 teams in the NBA Cup, which means the winner will be definitely heading to Vegas. There is, however, a small implication here. If the Pistons lose by less than 5 points and the Magic beat the Knicks, then the Pistons will get into the NBA Cup Finals, 8 teams, along with the Milwaukee Bucks. At that point, the Milwaukee Bucks will win in as the group winner, and we'll get in as the wild card. So realistically, the goal here tonight is to win the game so they can clinch the spot. However, if they lose by less than 5, while the Magic beat the Knicks, then they will get in as a wild card. So to kind of give you a quick thought on what I think of the NBA Cup, it's something that I've not really been the biggest fan of since it was implemented last year. But I'm kind of changing my tune because I think this is exactly what the NBA Cup was meant for. This gives younger teams like the Pistons a chance to potentially play what seems to be a bit more meaningful of games in the earlier parts of the season. They don't actually have to get to the playoffs to get what will be close to a playoff atmosphere. And I think that's a good thing for a young team like the Pistons in every stretch. So even though I've not been the biggest fan of the NBA Cup, I think I might be starting to change my mind now that the Pistons are making a run for it. So to talk about the game itself against the Bucks tonight, the first thing that I will be looking out for is, can Cade be the version of Cade that we saw against the Pacers? Cade has been out for 4 of the last 5 games. He is not on the injury report for tonight's game against the Bucks. And the one game that he played and came back against the Pacers, he was absolutely incredible. So I think that it will be good to watch Cade, see how he's moving, seeing how he's feeling, because if anything over these 5 games has taught us, it's that Cade is the offensive engine of this team, and we need him to go as far as we want to go. So moving on, the next thing I will be paying close attention to is going to be, can the Pistons find a way to stop Giannis? The Pistons, of course, played the Bucks a couple weeks back, and Giannis finished that game with 59 points in an overtime game. He was pretty much impossible for the Pistons to stop. Isaiah Stewart was ejected from the game after pulling down on Giannis's jersey on a layup attempt, and after that happened, it only got worse because from what we saw in that game, Isaiah Stewart is probably our closest and only hope to stopping Giannis. So it'll be interesting to see how Giannis comes out and plays against us, especially because that game that the Pistons played against the Bucks a couple weeks back, Damian Lillard was not in the lineup. However, he will be back, assuming that he plays, because he has been playing since this game. So will be a bit more interesting to see if Giannis comes off the ball a little bit more or tries to go back into that overdrive mode, because those 59 points were a loud 59 points. It felt like every time down the floor, they were feeding Giannis number 1 option on every play. So just going to be interesting to see how that plays out in tonight's game. And the next thing I'll be paying close attention to is going to be, can Jalen Duren put up a better fight against Giannis? When we went up against the Bucks last time, he had fouls trouble early, and once Stewart went down, he didn't do much of a job of protecting the rim or really doing anything very well in that game, to be honest with you. In that game against the Bucks a couple weeks ago, he did finish with 9 points and 9 boards, but it felt like he was in foul trouble, and once Stewart went down, it almost felt like the Pistons didn't stand a chance because he was putting up more resistance to Giannis and everything else the Bucks have going on. So we'll play close attention because I think that between now and then, Jalen Duren has played a lot better basketball than what he was playing a couple weeks ago. I feel like the better half of Jalen Duren's best games this season have came since this Bucks game. So we'll be excited to see if he can pull out some stops that maybe we could not see the last time we played the Bucks. So overall, to talk about what I think the ticket to win will be, I think that the Pistons have to play damn near a perfect game to get this win, because I know the Bucks will not be rolling over or taking this one lightly at all, considering the NBA Cup stipulations here. So I think they need to play a near perfect game. I have not said that as any of the tickets to win. I'm generally higher on the Bucks than maybe what their record says they are, and I think that just considering all of the context of this game, the Pistons need to play pretty much a perfect game. What do I mean by a perfect game? I think that the turnovers need to be lower than our season average. I think that our three-pointers need to not be off. I think that we probably could win the game if we shot regularly from the three-point line, but if we have a bad shooting night, you can go ahead and call the game now. I don't think we'll find a way to win at that point. I think that our defensive intensity needs to be as high as it's ever been. I think that the Pistons need to do a good job of making their free throws, something that obviously cost us the game against the Bucks last time we played. And say all that to say, I just think the margin for error is really low in a do-or-die game for the Milwaukee Bucks in what is an NBA Cup game. And I know that, like I said, I'm not even the biggest fan of it, but these guys have been getting up for these games for the most part. You can listen to the players on the Pistons side getting interviewed about it already. Cade saying we're going to Vegas, Beasley saying we're going to Vegas. The Knicks players were just talking today about how they want to win it so that they can get some more extra money for their younger players and two-way guys that are on smaller contracts. And I just think that the $500,000 bonus per player does motivate these guys, maybe more than it should, considering that the better half of them already have more bread than they know what to do with. But nevertheless, the players seem to care, which makes the fans care, and that's why I've kind of changed my mind, like I mentioned, on the NBA Cup. The players seem to care, seems to be a relatively big deal for them. So overall, I just think that the Pistons are going to have to play pretty much perfect to stop the Bucks here. I think that the margin for error is just so small because the Pistons have shown us time and time again that they can play with the better teams in the NBA when they're playing their best basketball, but things can also get pretty ugly with this team pretty fast if they get into one of those situations where their offense kind of stagnates and they start turning over the ball and the fouls are high and guys are getting in foul trouble. So pretty up and down with this team, especially when going up against teams like the Bucks in high stakes games. So let me know what you guys think. We'll catch up soon.